Imagine a world where something as ordinary as sugar could spark wars, fund global empires, reshape entire societies, and even reprogram the human brain. Today, we see sugar everywhere, sprinkled on cereal, hidden in sauces, packed into snacks. But the story of sugar is far more than just sweetness. It's the tale of how one craving reshaped the world through conquest, exploitation, innovation, and addiction. Sugar didn't just change diets, it changed power structures, economies, and lives. And it continues to shape our world in ways most people don't realize. This is the bittersweet history of sugar. How one small crystal came to dominate global history.
First chapter, From Luxury to Obsession. In medieval Europe, sugar was not an everyday food. It was a luxury so rare and expensive that it was locked away like gold. Used only by the wealthiest elites, sugar was sold in solid loaves and had to be chopped with special tools. It was reserved for nobility, often used in medicines and believed to have healing powers. But as Europe's trade routes expanded and explorers reached new lands, sugar became more accessible, at least to the powerful. Suddenly, sweetness was no longer reserved just for kings and queens. Sweetened tea, jam-filled pastries, and sugar-glazed fruits became symbols of sophistication and status. What began as a rare treat was quickly turning into an obsession. Sugar consumption was no longer just a culinary preference. It became a reflection of class and culture. Second chapter, Slavery, Sugar, and Empire. To meet the growing European demand for sugar, colonial powers established vast sugar plantations across the Caribbean, Brazil, and beyond. But producing sugar was labor-intensive, dangerous, and grueling. Plantation owners turned to the transatlantic slave trade for cheap labor. Over 12 million African men, women, and children were forcibly taken from their homes and shipped across the ocean in horrific conditions. Many died before even reaching the plantations. Those who survived were forced into back-breaking labor, harvesting cane from sunup to sundown, often enduring brutality, disease, and inhumanity. The profits from sugar helped fund European cities, build universities, and fuel industrial growth. Behind the sweet taste was a system built on unimaginable suffering. Sugar was not just a commodity. It was a tool of imperial domination. Third chapter, Industrial Sweetness. As the Industrial Revolution swept through Europe and North America, sugar production became mechanized. Steam engines and centrifuges sped up the refining process. Railroads and steamships expanded its global reach. This innovation turned sugar into an everyday ingredient. What was once rare became cheap and abundant. Workers who once could not afford sugar now consumed it daily. Children grew up on sweet porridge, biscuits, and candy. Soft drinks and chocolate bars flooded the market. Sugar had become a symbol of progress and profit. It also began to influence not just economies, but human biology, as regular sugar intake rewired our sense of taste and desire. Fourth chapter, the Sugar Cube Revolution. In 1841, in the town of Dačić, now in the Czech Republic, Jakub Krzysztof Rad transformed how the world used sugar. Inspired by his wife's injury while chopping a sugar loaf, Rad invented the first sugar cube press. Suddenly, sugar became more elegant, practical, and safe to use. The cube wasn't just convenient, it was revolutionary. It represented a new era of standardized, pre-packaged sweetness. It spread quickly through Europe and became the default form of sugar in cafes, homes, and restaurants. A small invention from a small town changed morning routines across the globe. Chapter 5. the health cost of sweetness. But this sweetness came with a cost that would only become clear centuries later. As sugar became more accessible, it began to creep into everything: breakfast cereals, processed meats, salad dressings, frozen meals. By the 20th century, sugar was no longer just a food, it was an addiction. Medical research began linking excessive sugar intake to rising obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and even cognitive decline. Neuroscientists found that sugar triggers the same pleasure centers in the brain as addictive drugs, causing cravings and withdrawal-like symptoms. Food manufacturers, aware of this, began formulating products to maximize pleasure and dependency. The more sugar we ate, the more we wanted. And in the background, public health systems began to buckle under the weight of chronic diet-related diseases. Chapter 6, The Future of Sugar. Today, sugar is both everywhere and under scrutiny. Governments are introducing sugar taxes, schools are banning sugary snacks, consumers are reading labels more carefully. Some people turn to sugar alternatives like stevia, erythritol, or agave. Others choose to avoid processed foods altogether. But the cultural bond with sugar runs deep. It's tied to emotion, memory, reward, and ritual. Birthdays, holidays, comfort foods, all are sweetened with sugar, both literally and symbolically. Breaking that cycle isn't just a matter of willpower, it's a systemic issue about access, education, and corporate responsibility. But it's also an opportunity to rethink how we nourish ourselves and how we shape the world we live in.
Final thoughts. Sugar is more than a taste. It's a story of empire and resistance, of invention and destruction, of joy and consequence. From royal tables to supermarket shelves, sugar's journey is our journey too. It reflects our desires, our economies, our innovations, and our blind spots. So the next time you reach for something sweet, remember, you're tasting history. And maybe, just maybe, we can shape a future that's a little less bitter.